1 in 8 women in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime. In 2023, nearly 300,000 women and nearly 3,000 men will be diagnosed with invasive breast cancer. In the same breath, nearly 56,000 new cases of non-invasive breast cancer. Chances are you, or maybe someone who was near and dear to you, have been affected. But I have news for you guys. There is hope. When detected in early, what they call local stages, the survival rate and percentages are higher. Awareness, early detection, and treatments are important. And I'll say it, yes, they matter. Our thoughts and prayers to all of those who have been affected by breast cancer. To the families, and also to the supporting community. Men, don't be naive. You have breast tissue as well. Welcome back, everybody. Everybody, come on in. It's episode 9, and we're still rolling. I said it before. You guys know what the competition is out there. Some people are doing this where it's 5 or 6 to a seat. Some people are doing this with special guests, but guess what? You're here with yours truly. I'm Dante, also known as Mecca Don, the Don Mecca. Some call me Rick James. Why? Because I'm cold-blooded. Some may know me as Coach, and some during this season and time of the year, you may know me as Ref, but if you know, you know. You guys know what it is. We're in the age of cancel culture, judged by the court of public opinion. And I'll be careful with my words, but just in case I drop a noun, an adjective, a pronoun, and even an expletive, or if I say something that could be triggering, I'll be careful. But you guys know what it is. Don't hold me to it. Say it with me. I'm just here to pod. In true heDONizm fashion, you guys know I always like to start out with gratitude, and that's no exception for today. I'm grateful for each one of you. So let me just stop real quick and just ask you for a couple of things. And I'm going to add a new one to it today. And that's please like, please comment, please subscribe, and don't be a hater. Okay, I need to get these numbers up, so I'm asking you to tell a friend, lock it in, and rip the keyboard off. In true heDONizm fashion, you guys know I always love to start out with gratitude. Just as I said before, I'm always and ever grateful for you guys. But I want to hone in on our youth, right? I don't think they get enough shine. So let me just hone in onto a Gen Zer out there. And I want to talk about the lovely Marsai Martin, 19 years old, LA representative by way of Plano, Texas. She played the most hated family member in the show Blackish, right? She was as Diane Johnson, and she was the stage twin daughter of Dre and Bo. You guys may also remember her from the movie Little, right? Where it was such an adorable movie. You know, it was the ever-changing story of the switched, aged, overnight type of deal, but this one had a spin on it. I will say that they keep recreating themselves, but this one had a little sex appeal and, dare I say, a good script and writing, and it was pretty much entertaining. And in a time of bad TV, I will say this, it is a good watch. But she was on the movie with Regina Hall and the Issa Rae. But let me also add to this. Did you guys know she also produced that movie? So what am I saying here with that? She was the youngest person to ever produce a studio film. So shout out to you, Marsai Martin. But in addition to that, let's talk about philanthropy just a little bit, right? So Marsai has this event called the Say Summer Cookout, hence the name Marsai, right? It's the Say Summer Cookout, and it's a whole vibe, right? It's a family event, and her approach for this, and I'm paraphrasing, right? Her approach for this was during COVID, she wanted to know what it would be like when we're out of the pandemic. So she put her pen to paper. She got a Rolodex out. She started calling point of contacts. She started calling the who's who and the know who knows who. And she got busy and she started to put this thing together. And she started the first one in LA or roundabout area. I believe she did it in the hills. But she brought that thing to the ATL, and my daughter had an opportunity to go, and it was a whole vibe. But the goal was to embrace human interaction, again, outside of the pandemic. And let me just say this. It's not one of those, hey, where we come and dance and there's a DJ and everybody's quiet and on their phone. No, this girl has actually strategized how to engage with human interaction. And I don't care how many people's there. She gets everyone involved. So it's very interactive. And I will say this, shout out to you, Marsai, because I think this is awesome. And if there's anything we can do here at the heDONizm podcast to support your movement, because I'll tell you this as a spoiler, right? They turned it out in an A. Now, there was a great crowd, but I love her approach. She said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the numbers. We're really just trying to reach and engage with the people. So they were here last in Atlanta, but there was a cliffhanger with where she's going to announce the next location. Now, if I had to guess, it would be in the DMV, right, on the campus of Howard University. But if I can just say this, it's a cookout and HBCU style homecoming all moshed together. So it just makes a beautiful, environment of good people, good vibes, and good fun. But I think she left it as a cliffhanger, but this is my guess, and I want to see if I'm right. I believe it will be at the DMV on the campus of Howard University because, after all, she was the stage daughter of Anthony Anderson. And hold that right there. We're going to get back to Anthony Anderson in a minute, and shout out to both. Speaking of good gesture and Blackish, let me just take a pivot here for a second and just salute the ladies in hip hop, right? I can't do this whole subject justice. So if I miss out some things, please don't hold me to it. You guys know I'm just here to pod. But without the ladies in hip hop, there's no way we can say we've evolved as a culture, right? And as a creative collective, right? Most MCs that were ladies made the boys and men sit up straight when it came to competition. You guys remember Shy-Rock, Debbie D, and Lisa Lee? They perfected the cadence and tone and delivery. And let me just say this, those three that I just mentioned were they were the first MC females in rap history, right? You remember the Funky Four plus one more? Well, again, you had your Shy-Rock, your Debbie D, and your Lisa Lee. Those were some of the historians when it comes to female rappers that made history and made way for a lot of our MCs and a lot of our entertainers in hip hop and rap today. You guys remember when Roxanne Shante took out UTFO, right? You guys also remember when Latifah told us that it was ladies first, and she also asked us, who you calling to be, right? But she also embarked the UNITY. So shout out to those ladies, and we can't forget MC Light. And she said, what you say to me is just paper thin, and we can't forget about Gangsta Boo, who asked us where them dollars at. And oh my goodness, I can't look over the notorious KIM. Wanna bumble with the B, huh? Bzz, throw a hex on your whole family. Like Kim just had that delivery, but we can't say we've evolved without ladies in rap. And I hate to put them in a category of a female rapper. I just want to call them an MC or a rapper in general, right? You got your Young and Mays, your Nicki Minaj, your Bees in the Trap. And although she's on the R&B and I'm going to say pop and dance level, but I'm going to put Beyonce in that rap category also. You guys know when she made I'm a Diva. Y'all know what it is. Stop the track. Let me stay facts. I told you, give me a minute and I'll be right back. 50 million around the world, and they say I couldn't get it. I done got so sick and filthy with the Benjis, I can't spend it. Ooh. Ooh. And we can't forget about the young ladies in rap today, although I got a beef with y'all. You guys need to stop this internet beef. It's getting crazy. But Glorilla, I got 99 problem and the biggest one is me. Oh, I just love that joint. But shout out to the ladies in hip hop. In Billboard, I was doing some research and I found out that they put R&B and rap in the same category in billboards. I mean, do what you got to do. We're gonna chop it up to a celebratory format, however we can get it. But I will say this, and let me ask you this: if you agree or disagree, comment down below. Do you think that rap and R&B should be in the same category? I find that debatable, but please comment down below what you think about that. But something that I wanted to bring to you guys' attention, that Billboard has been lacking a rap song to top the charts in over a year. Well, that record was broken here recently. Doja Cat's Paint the Town Red from her album Scarlet just hit the top 100. And it's been a year since a rap song hit it. Matter of fact, the last song or the last artist that hit the top 100s was Nicki Minaj, and that was her Super Freaky Girl, and that was August of 2022. The ironic thing here is Doja Cat and Nicki Minaj, if you ask me, they have the same style, right? When it comes to rap, and also the diction and the double entendres and some of the metaphors and similes that they use to deliver their tone. And I will say this, they're both MCs, dope MCs, but I'll say this in the same breath, both of them can sing and hold the tune. Now back on Doja Cat, right? So the court of public opinion is out on her. They're saying that she's demonic. They're saying that she's a devil worshiper and all of these things. Well, some of this I believe in. I'm not running bail for her, right? I'm just using the eyeball test. I believe, or if I had to speculate, that she's taking a page out of the Lil Nas X playbook, right? He kind of did the same thing when Old Town Road faded out, right? Oh, we saw him on a horse, right? But then we saw tumbleweeds with that, right? Like he tried a genre and it was almost like he was a one-hit wonder in that genre. And some of the country music artists go, how dare you make this song? But it was a bop. And to this day, it did not carry that tone and genre for him to continue. But anyway, he swayed in another direction and was kind of lap dancing on the you guys know where I'm going with this. But I just say this, look at it from an art perspective and not necessarily hold her to it. You know, you guys, I say it all the time, you know, the court of public opinion can be very harsh and also cancel culture. But in her album, she's doing a lot of hard dissing to female MCs. And that's why I said to some of the young rappers out there, for anybody that hears my voice, if you find this influential at all, please stop the beef, right? Because this thing spill over to some of your boyfriends, some of your fathers, some of your cousins, the crazy cousins. And this is where things really turn up. And the thumb thugs really take that thing to the street. I hear Nicki Minaj just had her house swatted based on some alleged fans or some alleged beef she had with certain individuals. And let me just say this about this swatting thing. Here in Atlanta, they're starting to do pranks. And let me just say this. I said it before in another pod. If this is what we are calling some of these disgusting TikTok challenges, then I'm going to say this right out the bat. Cut it out. You can't be that bored where you are calling to have someone's house swatted. I mean, it's disgusting. And it's been reported that the latest trend has caused people to do this, but you guys know this is a technology era. You can be traced. There are cameras everywhere. I mean, if you drive down the street and think you're getting away with something, you better second guess or you better look again, because everyone has cameras on their house now. So no more that the rich people are the only one that has surveillance. No, everybody. They have Ring cameras in apartment complex. I'm going to take it even a step further. In some of your housing projects, they got Ring cameras. So please don't think you're getting away with this dodo stuff and cut it out. That's a disgusting thing. But back to Doja Cat, this could just be her pandering with this tone of slight darkness in her in her delivery with her record. So she broke that record, but Drake, Slime You Out featuring SZA, actually bumped Doja Cat out here recently. So not sure if you guys are aware, but this is the 5th year with the partnership of NFL and Roc Nation. Previous acts under the collab with NFL and Roc Nation have been Shakira, J-Lo, The Weeknd, the Dr. Dre joint that they did a couple of years ago that brought on a lot of controversy, but yet it was a hype halftime performance, right? Rihanna, Rihanna. Rihanna had a very good halftime performance. She was pregnant, right? She was expecting, right? But did you know also that Rihanna's halftime was one of the most watched halftime shows of all time? Well, I don't know if you guys have heard also, but Usher, baby, Usher got the call from Big Hove. But I tell you what I don't like, right? You guys have heard it already. You guys are on social media. But let me tell you what I don't like, right? I kind of look at undertones when it comes to media blitz and media blast, right? It says that Usher is headlining the halftime show. So that made me ponder a little bit and ask myself, I said, self, are there going to be other artists that come out and Usher's going to give us maybe a minute and a half, 2 strong minutes of a halftime explosion? So I didn't like the wording, right? Usher the headline 2024 Apple Music Super Bowl halftime show. I just want to know what's the hook, right? If they're adding other artists, go ahead and put them out there now before everyone get their hopes up and go, this is going to be a one-man show. But if you ask me, I say, what is the irony all about, right? So he has this residency in Vegas. He's been skating all over the world. The boy's cold. He's been at Cascade, Skate America, and Stone Mountain. He's been getting busy. He's been all up in Rockefeller Plaza, right? Right? Skating, forwards, backwards, all kind of ways. He's the man. But is this an actual media blitz that led up to the announcement? I say it's just kind of ironic because the same day or same date of the Super Bowl, he has his 9th album is going to be rolling out, and we're not hating Usher. We want your talents. You know what I mean? So please bring it. But to me, it just seems like, hey, rather than this just being, what a surprise. It's kind of written, right? They've just created the big what did they say? 24K ball in Vegas, and I've seen the Raiders move from Cali to Nevada. I mean, we saw some of the makings of what's to come in Vegas. They're getting more entertainment back to Vegas. Not that they lost it, but a lot of people go to Vegas and they're like, it's okay. I could use just a little bit more. So they're bringing bigger and better. And I guess as we evolve and get older, they think of how they can make the desert more robust. So win, brother, win. Congratulations to Usher and also Rock Nation for teaming up with the NFL and giving us so much inclusion, as I can say, and just to add on diversity, right? And this is the equity part, right? Where we can be able to say we did that. The blueprint was laid, and also those who came before you can now or you've seen those who've laid the way for you to come and say, hey, we saw them do it and we can do it as well. So that's a good form of equity that I love to see and witness. And again, Usher, win, baby, win, represent the A. I know you're going to hit them with the yeah. Are you going to do nice and slow? I know that's one of your hot bops. Are you going to do that? And how's that going to play out with the Super Bowl? But we know you have too many great dance songs and energetic and entertaining songs to entertain us with. So we ain't worried about that. We just look forward to seeing you and win, brother, win. I've gotten some inboxes, right? Now here's the thing, right? We won't comment down below, but we'll give old Don a call. I'm cool with that. I'll say it again. I'm cool with that. But I've been getting a lot of questions about what the streets are talking about. And I'm not excited at all about this, right? I'm potting, if you will. But I'm not excited about this at all. But my question to you guys, as my listeners, is it black love or no? Are we still hashtag couple goals? Because if you look out in these streets right now, in these couple streets right now, you'll see some fugazi going on in these households. So I don't know what it is. Is there something in the laundry soap? Because these sheets are dirty, right? And these sheets are cold. And that's no laughing matter. What am I talking about? Well, let me run it down. Jeezy and Jenny Mai, Will and Jada, Papoose and Remy Ma, Steve and Marjorie Harvey, Anthony and Alvina Anderson. And I want to heard the brother was getting broke off around $20K a month and alimony. And I wasn't no math major, but I think that comes somewhere around 240 annually. Think I'm right on that. I'll take my L sandwich if I have to. But Tiana Taylor and Iman Shumpert, they were so adorable. Billy Porter and his husband, Adam Smith. Eva Marcel and Michael Sterling. Drew Sidor and Ralph Pittman. Tina Knowles and Richard Lawson. I'm going to stop right there. That's a lot. Jeezy, Will, Papoose, Steve, Anthony, Iman, Billy Porter, Michael Sterling and Eva Marcel, Drew and Ralph, Tina Knowles and Richard Lawson. That's a lot. And these are like fresh relationships that are on all platforms. So the questions have been at me, yo, Don, what you think about this going on, man? What you think about old Steve? What you think about Tiana and Iman? What you think about Jeezy and Jenny, right? Will and Jada. Is Jada ever going to get off Tupac? Is Jada deliberately trying to embarrass Will? Right? Eva, Drew, these Real Housewives. Is anybody married on the Real Housewives of any franchise? Let me give you guys my response, and I'll be respectful about it. Unless you've embraced in a union, gotten married, we's married now, as the ladies say. As soon as they say I do, that's typically the next thing that comes out. Unless you've jumped the broom, took an oath, gained a significant other by way of commonwealth. Here's my response to all of the things that we're witnessing. Rather than you being a thug thumb, have you thought about praying for these couples? Have you thought about the Keith Sweat implementation or the Keith Sweat seminar? Oh, I can't hit that note. But make it last forever. Remember that? So here's my response to all of that. They compare divorces to death. Is that really something you want to be throwing out there? Is that really rumor and gossip that you want to spread? Is it really our business to know about Jeezy, Will, Papoose, Steve, Anthony, Tiana, Billy, Eva, Drew, Tina? Do you know why I have their names? Because I know somebody of the names that I just mentioned are sitting in a state of maybe depression right now because they compare divorce to death. And that takes a toll on your psyche. That takes a toll on your ability to stand up straight, shoulders back, boots strapped, and one foot in front of the other. Adversity comes, financial hits comes. So here's what I have to say about that. Rather than us being the first to report, the news you can't use, why don't we uplift these people by saying, or rather than saying anything, how about putting them in your meditation bucket? Right? How about putting them in your thoughts? And for those that believe or show actions toward, how about a little prayer for those individuals? What am I saying without saying it? It's none of my business. And I'm changing the narrative by way of my platform. And I'm not preaching or pointing the finger, but I am trying to make a point here. If you're not qualified to speak on any of the individuals that are going through something right now, take you and your gossiping self with your gossiping ears and go get you some business. Now, I understand that this may turn some people off, but at this point, we got to do better as a people. Right? I'm sure divorces can get extremely messy. So thoughts and prayers out to those, and shout out to the Denzel Washingtons of the world. Right? He said it's no longer about being true with news that's reported. It's now about being first. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. And as he went on and said, if you practice something long enough, you'll get good at it. And I even went down a rabbit hole, and I just saw that people who had never been in a relationship, let alone with kids, or have the wherewithal to sustain a relationship, let alone the demise of a departure or a divorce, are speaking on these people's relationship. And I know some of the mindsets and ideologies of some of the people, but yet they got all of the opinions in the world. Please have several seats. I'm advocating for all love, but if I can be a little selfish, Black love rise, Black love rise. Thoughts and prayers are with all of those individuals that are going through their tough times right now. And my prayer is that all of these couples that we mentioned, if the situation is healthy, if the situation is right, and if the situation is reconcilable. Sometimes you got to know when to flow, you got to know when to go, and you got to know when to roll. That's not a song. That was kind of freestyle off the top of the dome, but I'm not being silly. I'm dead ass. The Fugazi continues. What am I talking about? So in Mount Bellevue, I believe it was, or is, Mount Bellevue, Texas, a young student by the name of Daryl George has been having a tough time in school. This young brother, call it what, put it into whatever category you want to put it in. But Daryl George, a student at a Texas high school, was suspended. Not because of guns, not because of fighting, not because of stealing, not because he was being disruptive. I can go on and on. But the young man was suspended from his school because of his hair. He was suspended because he had locks, dreadlocks. And in Western culture, or should I say stateside, locks are revamped at the roots. I can only speak about what my eyes see. I don't travel abroad. I don't travel overseas regularly. But the locks are reinforced, rejuvenated, retwisted. Scalp is refreshed at the roots. For those that can't follow, or for my white brothers and sisters, if you take your index finger, drive it straight through your hair and touch your scalp, the locks are refreshed at that point. I'm not talking about afro and then locks. I'm talking about a neat look. I want to be very specific. Timeout. Side note. Ladies and gentlemen, the word is specific. Specific. Not, let me be Pacific. I think that's an ocean. The word is specific. But getting back to Mr. George, Daryl George, young man at the Texas high school. This guy had locks and they were rejuvenated at the roots. The young man was suspended because, according to the school, he violated the district's dress code. And I hate to use it in this term, but the man went home, did his time, went back to school. Guess what happened? He got suspended again. Trigger warning. And I'm talking to myself. I've been discriminated because of my hair. I don't want to get into anything else but the subject matter at this point. We're talking about hair. India Irie, I am not my hair. I'm back. Trigger warning. For those out there, if you know, you dadgummit know. I ain't gonna hold you. It's one of them things where if you're in a workplace and somebody say something left ways to you or sideways to you, or they come talking out the side of the neck, it makes you kind of want to spaz out, right? I ain't gonna hold you, but it does something to your whole internal self. Sorry. Or pardon me. It makes you want to just go off. Let me stay on topic. Daryl George went back to school because his stance was, I'm not violating policy. Based on research, I saw one parent, and that was his mother. So I'm assuming that they took this on the chin and said, we're going to hold our position. We're going to hold our water. We're going to hold our stance, and you go right back to that school. And you stick your chest out and your shoulders back, and you go right back to school. And I'm speculating, or I'm imagining how that conversation went. Nonetheless, the young man went back to school and got suspended again. So total suspension time, 2 weeks. And I hate to say it, but we could still be counting. According to the school code, male students' hair will or should not extend below the eyebrows and the earlobes. Now, let me give you a visual, please. It's not uncommon for men to have shoulder-length hair nowadays, especially with locks. Let's just say, for the sake of narrative, that this young man's hair went below his eyebrows and his ear lobes. Well, you may be saying, well, Don, tell us. What do you mean, let's say? What did his hair look like, Don? Come on, man. Right. Okay. So his hair was an updo, ladies. I'm sure you guys can identify what an updo is, right? An updo. A do that's up in something, a bun or something. But if you think about how locks are rejuvenated at the roots, imagine the locks being compacted in with cross reinforcement to make it look like a packed down afro. But even neater. Why? Because it was creative. And it's like me, like when I hate to compare the two, but the best thing I can give is how much time and attention I put into my lawn. When I cut my lawn or when I mow my lawn, I love to see rows. When I vacuum the carpet, I love to see rows, right? It's something about the aesthetics of being neat. I'm talking about myself. I'm not talking about anyone else. This man goes back with his locks intact. Let me give some context. And again, trigger warning for those out there who may have had experiences like Daryl, like Dante, where you know this hits home, right? September 1st in Texas, or at least let's stick to Mount Bellevue. Mount Bellevue, the Crown Act went into effect September 1st. For those who don't know, the Crown Act means create a respectful and open world for natural hair. C, create. R, respect. O, open. W, world. N, natural hair. Crown Act. It went into effect September 1st. Well, what is the Crown Act? It's a law prohibiting discrimination based on one's hair texture or protective hairstyles such as locks, braids. Let's stop right there. The man had locks. But the Crown Act is supposed to prohibit discrimination based on one's hair texture. But he goes to school and they suspend him. So tell me, what is that violation of? Comment down below. Talk me off the ledge. Comment down below. That's a metaphor. I'm good. So the student in question, Daryl, his lock style was rather nice. But the school's retort was, and here we go with the fugazi. Well, if it's down, it's too long. You never saw it down. You never saw it down. So how can you determine if this guy's hair goes below his eyebrow or his earlobes? Do you have daily inspections that state all individual hairstyles must be combed out, straightened, and down? If I'm not mistaken, your criteria said length should not proceed past eyebrows, past earlobes. He's got an updo. I'm heated. So this guy's been in school suspension, and his mother gets on camera and say, let me just say what it is about Daryl. Right now, he's failing because of the man's hair. Sounds like microaggression. No, it's not microaggression. Sounds like systemic racism. No, it's not systemic racism. You know what it is? Hate. Let's call it what it is. It's hate. I'm not going to sit up here and say rules are made to be broken. However, even in the military, individuals do certain things so that they can have their own identity while staying in regulations. Some servicemen and women that can grow facial hair that do not have inspections every day may skip a day of shaving. But if they know they have a PI, personal inspection, they will shave. Are these kids inspected every day? But the mother's plea is, and I'm proud of her, and I know what you guys are thinking, why don't they just move, go to another school? You guys think it's that easy? We're in a recession. Pardon me. Who's giving up residence like that and just saying, I'm just going to relocate? Do you realize that names carry with you? It's called school record. But I know us. We got all the answers, right? So have a seat. Let me just share this with you. And you may be like, why didn't they do their research before they moved to the area? Well, this is what I didn't tell you. The family, mother and son, had just moved to Mount Bellevue. So this was a school and district. And I'm trying to understand. I think this is like one of those tri-city things where they share stadiums, where they share schools because of population. You know, sometimes it's classification by A's when it comes to athletics. I don't understand the Texas thing, but I'm just going off of what the report says. And you guys want to know what the irony is about this situation? The name of the school, the name of the school, the name of the school that is going through this fugazi with this young man, the name of the school is called Barber Hill High School. Barber Hill. Speaking of irony, I really, thoughts and prayers out to that mother and son, because obviously this is causing some type of PTSD that's going to either, and see, there was a, let me go back to this. I'm not off of this, right? Don loves kids, right? And I'm not talking about the babies. I'm talking about those adolescents that are about to hit life. This is the point where we don't let go. They're not adults. They're not capable of making mature decisions in some aspects. Yes, it's one thing to raise a child, right? It's one thing to tell a child that the stove is hot, so don't put your hand on it, but it's also reinforcements that's needed. And sometimes we let them go and call them our compadres, right? We call them our peers, right? Mothers don't become mothers to children anymore. They become friends. Fathers don't become fathers to their children anymore. They become partners. T to Ja Morant. Why did I just say that? But it's the best example I can give, because I gave a soliloquy earlier in one of my pods about, let me get off of that. Go back and look at the previous pod. The title of the pod was called How Many of Us Have Them? But the irony in the school was it's called Barber Hill. Thoughts and prayers out to that mother and child. And God bless him, because he's failing, because he's not allowed to interact in the classroom. I hope that teacher has an ounce of love and are calling, or teachers are calling his mother going, hey, listen, I understand what's going on. Let me send you these assignments, but also we video record it, or we have some notes that we can pass on to him. But this dude is failing. And we don't know what kind of effect this is going to have on him in the future. But there was a wrestler, and I'm going to get off of this. There was a wrestler. I want to say he was in tournaments, right? I wrestled. You can have takedown tournaments, and you can have those all-day tournaments. But you know how tournaments go. For those that didn't track, it's an all-day thing. For those AAU, right? So there was a wrestler, I want to say, in a tournament. I'm drawing a narrative, but this is factual. This wrestler was nice like that. But he was told that he could not compete because he had to cut his hair. And I'll be damned if the brother didn't cut his hair so he can wrestle. Let me read this thing one more daggum time. The Crown Act, a law prohibiting discrimination based on one's hair texture or protective hairstyles, such as locks and braids. Do you guys remember in the pandemic? How many of you guys had Zoom calls? Right? When people could not get to your local salon, where people could not get to your local barber, where people didn't have the skill set to take care of their own hair because they've always used it as a paid service. So on those Zoom calls, be honest, how many of you guys out there judged people based on how they looked? And those that are listening to me who know me personally, I used to always say this statement. Just because it's the pandemic doesn't mean we have to look like pandemic. Get up, get back into your normalcy of your routine, get on camera, and have some pride about it. It was just a form of encouragement. Maybe it was love. Maybe it was tough love. I don't know. But it was the best offering that I can give someone when you see someone slipping, they falling, and maybe struggling to get up. Rest in peace, DMX, for that quotable. But we talked about the irony in the school's name, talking about barbering, right? There's also an irony in hip-hop. Last pod I talked about on September 13th in 1994, the Ready to Die album, right? Then I talked about 2 years later, September 13th in 1996, our beloved Tupac died. Same month, but this year. As a matter of fact, Friday, September 29th, the suspect was arrested in the 1996 shooting death of Tupac. Allegedly, the shooting was a deadly clapback at Pac and the crew after a physical attack on the shooter's nephew. What it all came down to was who was in the Cadillac that rolled up on Pac and Suge. The shooter was the last living individual that was in the whip. So as of Friday, after nearly 3 decades, 2+ decades, they finally was able to dig into this cold case. I'm not going to say put it to rest, but make an arrest. Because there's no statute of limitations on murder. And the cold case, as I said before, has been open nearly 3 years. I'm sorry, near 3 decades. Right? 27 years to be exact. But you guys probably saw the video. It broke the airways. It went crazy. They've been showing videos of the actual physical attack. You guys know Pac. It's just me against the world. You guys know Pac and Suge. Pac and Suge. Suge and Pac. Y'all know them brothers. Matter of fact, Suge is doing a bid right now. Pac is no longer with us. The notorious B.I.G. is no longer with us. But they've been showing a video of the actual physical attack. I believe it was after a Tyson fight on the shooter's nephew. Some are relieved that it wasn't anyone from Biggie's camp or Bad Boy's camp. Because you remember it was a time where the West was at the East and the East was at the West. Y'all remember Suge and Snoop at the Source Awards? It was messy. I'm not saying this is bringing closure, but it gave us an answer. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that Pac's mother's not here to get the results of this case. But Pac was a revolutionary. To call him an MC is almost like a slap in the face or belittling him. And I mean that with all respect, because Pac was so much more. He bodied every role he did in movies and TV. Lord have mercy. Should I mention him as the character Pick? Y'all remember Pick on A Different World? Remember who his homegirl was? Jada, Pinkett, Smith, Jada, and Pac. Do you remember the on-screen chemistry that they had? It was unbreakable. You were drawn into like, oh, yo, this gotta be a spinoff. And I don't think the Cosby brand was having that. They knew who Pac was. But were you drawn into Pac's character on Juice? Right? He went dark, right? They said he could never break character after that role. He bodied that role. Poetic Justice. I have my opinion about Poetic Justice, but nonetheless, it was entertaining. But they stayed in pocket with those scripts. Hey, listen, it was a heavy pod today. Had to get some things off of my chest. And I want you all to start thinking about the impact you can make on the world, starting with yourself. your homes, your communities, and maybe even someone you do not know, just pulling up on them. Hey, let me offer you this. You don't believe me? Try it. Watch and see how it makes you feel. Hey, listen, guys. As always, I want to thank you guys for joining. But in all these situations I mentioned, they're all judged by the court of public opinion. And I tried to be careful with my words today, but just in case I dropped something that was triggering, and I think I'm talking to myself. But if I said something that may have been a little out of pocket, if I said something that triggered you in a way to where you really have to count to 10 and woosah your way out of that situation, please don't hold me to it. You guys know what it is. I'm just here to pod. Until we meet again, guys, take care.